Here are some tips for playing an F major broken chord for a young hand. The first thing I would say is that I would agree with others that if there is an exam coming up or something along those lines, the best solution is simply to change the fingering so to avoid the stretching between the fingers. So for instance, you could do 2, 1, 2, 5, 2, 1, 2, or something like that. That doesn't have the fingers getting pulled apart. But it's never too early to start working on some of the skills that will be necessary to get around the keyboard and get around large distances. So here are a few ideas that might be helpful. One is to get what I call the windshield wiper effect. The windshield wiper allows us to move distances. And what happens is the combination of a rotation in the forearm, which goes all the way back to the elbow, plus a little up, down, and across of the forearm can get us wherever we need to go on the keyboard. So with kids, it's really nice to start just on the fallboard and maybe go from 1 to 5 and get this feeling of dribbling a basketball back and forth, or sometimes they're called butterfly wings, and then seeing if you can get the arm to throw it a little bit, and maybe a little farther, and a little farther. And then you can do this on the piano, and it's sort of a fun warm-up. I do this a lot with kids. You can start maybe just on a 5th or something, and then you can see if they can throw themselves to a 6th or a 7th or an octave or even further, something like that. Hard to do with a camera. And then the next thing I would suggest is that maybe you work on the inner fingers, so you can just do sort of a trill motion a few times. And then see if you can get that hand to throw the finger to its next note. And you can do the same thing here. It's a little harder when you're doing the inner fingers, but you can still get that feeling of having a preparatory motion in the opposite direction, taking you wherever you need to be, and so forth. Another thing I would suggest is working on the in and out motions, in referring to in towards the fallboard and out away from the fallboard. And for this, I often take little stickies from post-it notes, little mini post-it notes, and I have much nicer colors in my studio, but I'll put down them on the key just to show where the key spot's going to be, and I would do it non-legato at first. So I'd play maybe my thumb, and then I'd have the student touch the key spot so they know where their hand has to go. The keys are much lighter at the edge of the keys, so whenever we can, we like to play towards the edge of the white keys. The farther back you go, the heavier the key is. There are, of course, situations where you have to be in the black key area, and that's a whole other matter. But if you're doing with all white keys, certainly you'll come all the way out to about the edge of the key, just so that the thumb doesn't feel like it's falling off. And maybe after you do this a while, you could try doing it legato, but it's best to start non-legato.